In the darkness, a four-pawed creature creeps, as a new moon rises over shadowed streets. In the lack of moonlight, change stirs in the air, welcoming a new face to the town of Little Ware. When the moment comes, don't look up, look down. You'll know the new moon shines over this town. When paw prints become footsteps on the ground, bound down the road where life makes the most sound. A small high street of untamed pubs and clubs, met by binge drinkers arriving in floods. Tonight it greets its monthly special treat, the fellow prone to use his hands as feet. He's a lovable buffoon to the youth, and only a few people know the truth. No one quite knows how his story began. This is a wolf that becomes a man. Fully transformed, he storms the bustling streets, weaving the crowds like it's covered in grease. Determined to retain his standard course, started with his favourite pub, the Black Horse. Moving on all fours, he slips past the bouncer, runs to a man and pulls down his trousers. As the pub is distracted by laughter, he quickly grabs old drinks off the counter. With these dregs he was set until closure. He was a wolf and fine with leftovers. He was comfortable drinking drinks defiled, and had consumed far worse things in the wild. As his tongue licked and slurped the near empties, he was joined by a group in their mid-20s. Most of them were there to subtly mock him, but one just watched with moonlight eyes popping. The once wolf found himself immensely transfixed, as she stared at him intensely with tenderness and bliss. Her bright wide eyes were met with further beauty, sending his human mind giddy and loopy. The young group continued to ridicule, but he lingered squatted on his bar stool, trapped in admiration of this deity in disguise that continued a warm glow from her cool white eyes. The group then started preparing to leave. His heart sank and was preparing to grieve. But just when the rest of his night was looking bland, the moon-eyed girl then took him by the hand. With only one hand free to use as a paw, he was led through doors to a sticky dance floor. Some people were anxious, some vigorous, but in the room there was only one difference. His moon-eyed girl moved with life and wonder, bouncing beauty through the strobe light's thunder. But meanwhile, whilst admiring the real deal, he was frozen and simply standing still. So he started to move the way he knew how, charging round the club as if on the prowl. He then mounted the DJ deck and howled, met by the DJ's disapproving growl. But he was back transfixed on his moon-eyed girl, who last splendidly become his world. Nothing like how the others had laughed at him. There was nothing but love in her trembling grin. She again took him by the hand, his body quaked, and they walked the streets now teasing daybreak. Before he knew it, he was sat in her room, and she excused herself to use the restroom. Returning and somewhat revealing, she screamed, and closed the door on what must be a dream. But she sneaked a peek now with sober eyes, and confirmed the horrifying surprise. An actual wolf was now devouring her pillow, forcing her to climb out of her bathroom window. She donned a luckily placed dressing gown, and cautiously worked her way out and down. Outside she looked at her house confused, and wondered about the fate of her night's muse. So she was about to give the police a call, until a van pulled up tagged animal control. Two men climbed out who were both strangely dressed, with Ware Warriors written on their vests. Dragging out a cage from the back of the van, they kicked down her door and inside they ran. In seconds they brought the wolf out in the cage, biting the bars with either panic or rage. The wolf fixed eyes with the now sober-eyed girl, and she saw the same eyes that had lit up her world. Advising to avoid taking the wolf to bed, the Ware Warriors loaded the cage and fled, and as they sped away she then swore to herself she would find her wolf and save the love she had felt.